The story of the Quesnel River begins in glaciers high in the Caribou Mountains. The river starts as a trickle but quickly gains momentum and eventually becomes a powerful eroding force, shaping landscapes and drawing people to its banks. Today, the river attracts anglers seeking solitude and willing trout. A century and a half ago, the river drew miners seeking their fortune in gold. The ghost town at Quesnel Forks is a reminder that stories of civilizations have a beginning and an end. The river flowing past the ghost town, however, is a reminder that nature's story is timeless. This drift today is, it's very different than any other drift that I've done. We're actually starting at the very end of the lake, and where it's almost, you can't tell whether it's lake or stream yet.
Where we were fishing was a little bit different for me because it wasn't what I've come to think of as a real river with strong current and rough water, broken water, and a variety of water. And it wasn't quite a lake where there's no current. It was the beginning of the river as it's starting to gather momentum, I guess, and a little bit of current when it leaves Quesnel Lake and carry. It was sort of like half lake, half river to me. And it's a different kind of a place to fish.
Skied, he rode across, this slower section where it's still kind of lake, and then as you actually start to see the river take shape and flow, we could actually see some trout rising. And I had a little Adams Irresistible on. I took a couple of casts with that right to the rings where the trout were rising, and I couldn't get them to come back up. And so I switched flies right away, and as soon as I switched flies, fish rose. I cast right to the spot where it rose, and it came straight back up, and I got that fish. And then I hooked another one, and then another one, and I think I even hooked another one right away. And that's when I actually started to feel maybe a little bit bad that I didn't offer Jim the front of the boat, because the front of the boat was fishing really well, and the back of the boat maybe wasn't fishing quite as well. It was a little tougher for Jim to get fish at the start of the day. There was a weather system change yesterday that I think that actually put the trout down, and they weren't coming up for dries. And Jim, being the versatile angler that he was, he got rid of the dry first, and he put on I think it was a little pheasant tail nymph, some type of a classic nymph. And within minutes of him putting that on, he was into a trout. So it was kind of like 2 or 3 trout later where I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give up on the dry too. And then I went and started nymphing. And it was at that point that things really, really heated up.
At the end of the day, we went to the pool that Skeed calls the Bullion Pool, named after, I guess, the Bullion Pit Mine, which is just over the hill from where this is on the river, and it's a magnificent setting. There's a huge cliff on the far side of the river, and it just goes straight up from the water, and a beautiful big run of water shooting through in front of us, and you can walk to this spot, which we did, and we caught a couple of more fish there, but the place was probably the most impressive as far as visuals go.
We drove down to the Bullion Pool, which is one of my favorite places in this area. I have so many, and every time I go there, I say, this is my favorite place. No, this is my favorite place, but the Bullion truly is, truly is one of my favorite places. I can't commit.
Quesnel River is actually like carved out the side of this mountain. It's so beautiful down here. And we're able to find even a few nice little rainbows down here as well. Sometimes fly fishing is simply going out and casting a fly to rising trout. But sometimes it's more than casting and catching. Sometimes fly fishing is spending time with unforgettable people like Jim and Skeed in unforgettable places like the Caribou. And sometimes fly fishing is an open door to nature, providing me with adventures that are sure to stay with me for a lifetime.